Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Truth Podcast with your host, Sarah Carlson. I hope you guys are doing well. It's been a week since last time, but today is another Sunday, which means another episode and a new topic. And as you can see, I'm holding something. I'm holding a mug. And this is not just any ordinary mug. It's not just a mug you can get from your drawer or your cabinet. It is the truth mug. It says the truth will set you free. Now this mug is inspired by John 8 verse 32, which says the truth will set you free. And it's also kind of inspired, as you can see, I have some beautiful lettering around here, and it's inspired also by my podcast name, which is The Truth Podcast, and you can see kind of my logo on the top here. So go and check this mug out. It is absolutely beautiful. You can get this in 2 sizes. This is the smallest mug, and you can get it in a bigger one, but I love this size. It's so simple and you can carry it everywhere. And you know, it's not exactly mug season over here because it's pretty hot still, but soon it will be, and I'm gonna get use for this one. So go and check it out, sarahcarlson.com, if you want to go straight to the store, and the link is also in my bio. May you enjoy. Now back to today's episode. I was going to talk about today's topic, and I think that this topic hits right home for many of us, because in a world that tells us that we need more, we need to be better, and we need to look ahead to tomorrow. But what if I told you that everything you need to move forward is right in front of you today? Yeah, you heard me right. And today we are going to talk about the present. Because the present, it can be today, it can be in the moment. But the present can also be a gift. So I will mix those two today, because I will talk about the present that has been given to you, that you are supposed to open, but you have chosen not to. And that is the biggest mistake we all have made in the past, and we still make. And if you're always looking back or always looking ahead, you might be missing out on the things that God is trying to do right now in your life. So today I will talk about the importance of being in the present. So grab a coffee, get comfy. For today, we're gonna dive into something pretty interesting. Okay, so let's start with something that seems pretty obvious, but I think we all need a reminder. Appreciate what you have. Simple, right? We've all heard it before, but do we live like we believe it? And how many of us actually understand it? Appreciation is such a big and important thing, you know. I mean, seriously. How often do we get stuck thinking about the things we don't have, the things we wish we had, the next step or the next season of life? Speaking of seasons, go and check out my previous episode if you want to know which season you are in right now. But, yeah, you know, it's really important to understand what season are you in. Happy season, harvest season, waiting season. And maybe you feel like you're in a season of waiting, where you're waiting for the next door to open. Or maybe you're just constantly thinking about what you wish you had in your past. But here's the truth. Tomorrow is not promised. And if you keep on stressing about what is going to happen in your future or mourning about what happened in the past, you're missing the value of today. Take a second and really think about it. Do you often find yourself looking back, saying like, oh, I wish I had done this differently, or if I had that opportunity? Or maybe like, oh, one day I will get there. One day I will have it all figured out. Well, I'm here to tell you that today is the only day you've got. So stop getting so soaked up into what is going to happen or what has happened. And I will get to why this is such a big deal. When we focus on today, when we are truly grateful for what we have going on in the moment, we're giving God room to show us where we need to go next. But if we take our eyes off of the present and start obsessing around what could have been or what is coming next, we might be walking away from the very blessings God might have for us today. And have you actually noticed how we overlook the present all the time? You know, instead of living in the present, we constantly regret our past. Have you noticed that? We regret our past all the time. And this is where we're making a mistake. This is where we need to make a change. For the only reason we are regretting our past right now is because we did the same mistake then as we are doing now. We're overlooking the present. Today is our present, and we look at it and we forget to open it. Instead, we just obsess around the past or the future. But we forget all about the present that is right in front of us. And what is that present actually? That present that God has given us. That is the directions of today. The directions for today. And if we just followed the directions for today back in the past, we wouldn't have been regretting anything. Okay? So, let's say you, for example, have a task or a essay you have to write at school. Okay? And instead of doing it in the moment, instead of actually getting things done, making the best out of your day, appreciating the day, making the best out of your day, you're just procrastinating and you're delaying that from being done. Then the last day where the due is to deliver that essay comes, you start to regret. You start to regret so much that you didn't do that last week. You know? And it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same because you chose to not open the present. You chose to not take it right now, and you chose to take it later. You know? You took the worries of today and placed it somewhere else. And so it makes you regret. And this is just an example. You can see this in so many aspects of life. In relationships, in friendships, in your work, your job. You can see it in every single moment of your life. And the stupid things you did, the things you maybe didn't do, you regret it because you didn't live in the moment back then. And we keep on making the mistake now. God gives us our daily bread and we forget to eat it. And we wonder why we starve. Oh, we starve. And when we starve, we cannot focus. If you're like me, I cannot focus in class if I haven't eaten breakfast or something. So, we starve. We can't focus. And most of all, we make bad decisions when we starve, when we haven't opened the present. And I know it's hard. It's easy to get caught up in this one days and what ifs. But this is where things get interesting. For this takes me to a pretty powerful moment in the Bible. I want to talk about the story of Lot's wife. And if you're familiar with the story, you know that God told Lot and his family to leave the city of Sodom and Gomorrah because it was about to be destroyed by God. He was basically saving them from disaster. And he told them to not look back at the city when they were going up to the mountains. But what did Lot's wife do? She looked back. She was like, oh. And that did not go well, guys. She looked back and she became a pillar of salt. Pretty intense, right? And you might think, okay, but what's the big deal? She was just looking back at the city. You know, why is it so deep? Lot's wife didn't just look back at her past. She was longing for it. She looked back because she felt like she was leaving behind something so important to her. She was so attached to what was behind her that she forgot to look at the bigger picture of what God had in front of her. And when she looked back, she literally missed out on the plans of God. She missed out on the miracles and the future He had for them. He had for her. And we do something very similar to that. And so let me ask you, what do you think? How does looking back hold you back in your life? Let me know in the comments. I have felt like looking back really does hold me back as well. In many ways. Maybe looking back on past friendships, being so attached to them. And if I do get too attached to them, then I forget all about the big picture, that God has better friends for me. So let me know in the comments if you have felt the same way. What do you think about this? Is there something you're looking back on that is holding you back? drop a comment down below. Before we continue this episode, if you're someone who really wants to share the gospel everywhere you go, if you want to start conversations about God, inspire people with God's word, then I got something for you. I have released an amazing collection of t-shirts, hats, mugs, necklaces, and everything you can think of. Keychains too, and with amazing products like this one, the Truth Mug, you can share the gospel in many ways. So go and check it out. The store is right up in my bio on sarahcarlson.com if you want to go directly to it. Now go out and share the gospel. That was all. Let's get back to the episode. And this lesson about Lot's wife is so powerful. For how often do we get stuck at looking at what we used to have, who we used to be, the things we used to do? But like Lot's wife, if we keep on looking back, we might end up losing the opportunity that God has put right in front of us today. It's like if you're driving a car. If you just look completely back and you just forget all about looking forward, just know that your car is gonna end up out of the road, okay? You're gonna end up in some accident or something. And that is why you need to keep your eyes on the road. Looking back is dangerous. And we can see that in many aspects of life. Now, do not get me wrong. Looking back is not always about regret. Many times we can look back at old memories, And I look back a lot on the memories I have from my childhood, the nostalgia. And I just feel like, oh, I miss when I was a kid. Oh, I miss when I was walking around with those princess shoes. And, I miss when I was jumping in the trampoline with my friends. I miss that old classmate of mine from like 8th grade or something. So there's a lot of things you can look back on. And it's not necessarily dangerous. But when we look back, 30% of what we look back on is good memories. The rest of the 70% are things we regret. And if we stay focused on that kind of past, we're going to get stuck. And we're going to end up losing the opportunity, losing the freedom that God has put in front of us, and losing the purpose that God has planned for us. For in Philippians 3 verse 13, Paul says, "Brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining towards what is ahead." This verse reminds us that the past is behind us for a reason. We cannot dwell on the past, for there is a race we are called to run, that is today. And that race is not about what is coming or what has been, it is about what is happening right now. Okay? So there is no need to hold on to the past. I just want to make it clear that nobody has it all. Nobody. We all have different stories, different seasons, different struggles. But what we do have is enough. Because God is in every moment. And He is sufficient for us. So no matter where you are in life, trust that this is enough. Now Jesus said in Matthew 6 verse 34, "Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." Right here, Jesus basically is telling us that our focus should be on today, okay? And God's grace is way more than enough for today. Tomorrow can worry about itself. In fact, God has already prepared tomorrow for you. For He knows your story. He has written it all down. What you're going to experience in life. What you will experience tomorrow. So there is no need to put it in your hands. Put it in God's hands. For God knew you even before you were in your mother's womb. So let me challenge you today. What would happen if you changed your focus from what you don't have for the things that you're waiting for, and instead started to appreciate the things you have right now? What if you started spending a little bit more time thanking God for the things you have, for where you are in life, for the relationships that you have, for the lessons you're learning, and for the gifts He has already given you? And maybe you're struggling right now. Maybe you're in this kind of bad point in life. But remember that today is a gift, and a gift to make the best out of. And when we truly appreciate it, when we live with an attitude of gratitude, We're opening the door for God to do something even bigger in our lives. You're trusting that He's got your future covered. And we start living fully in the moment He's given us. We're following His lead. So here's one thing that I want you guys to understand. Understand that you are in the middle. There is yesterday, there is today, and there is tomorrow. As Paul said, the past is gone. You've forgotten about it. And as Jesus said, tomorrow will worry about itself. So you are in today. And that is all you need to strive for. That is all you need to work for today. And how can you stop regretting about the past and worrying about the future? You need to change your mindset. You need to appreciate the gift of today. And you need to ask God for what resources. Ask God, what resources do I have to make the best out of the day I have today? What can I invest on today? For what you sow today is what you will reap tomorrow. So let God walk with you and show you the directions. Open the present of today. This is why today is a present you need to open. It is valuable. Why is it valuable? Because God is in it. God is in the present. And it makes me think of His name, I am. God is I am. That is present tense. That means God is always in the present, y'all. It is such a good connection. Have you seen it? I am. Okay. Remember that name. I am. God is I am. As He said to Moses, as Jesus said who He was, He said I am. He is present. And He wants us to live in the moment. He is in the moment. He is present. He is today. He is the gift we need to open every day. That felt so good, honestly. It just feels like my whole topic of today was complete just by that one sentence. So as I'm ending this episode, let me know in the comments if you have ever noticed this. And thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. I'm very thankful for everyone who stuck up until the end. And if this episode, it just spoke to you, because I believe it spoke to me. Every time I'm making content, I just feel like not only does it speak to you guys, it speaks to me. Because of all the research I do and everything. If it spoke to you, then don't forget to share this with a friend. And also make sure that you like and subscribe and hit the bell button so you get notified every single time I post a new episode. And not only subscribe here, subscribe to my newsletter, which is linked right up in my bio, and I update that every single week with new updates, new news, and also new amazing tips on how you can walk with God more smoothly. So don't forget to subscribe there for weekly inspiration. So keep appreciating God, trust His timing, trust that He has something amazing for you. Now I'll catch up with you later. I'll see you next Sunday. God bless you guys.